It was once hailed as a feat of modern medicine, but it's now become a scourge, with even the highest levels of the U.S. government calling for action.
The opioid crisis is an emergency, and I'm saying officially right now, it is an emergency. It's a national emergency.
Playing a major role in the opioid epidemic, fentanyl, a fast-acting pain reliever and a highly addictive narcotic. What was once prescribed to patients suffering tremendous pain is now flooding the streets, becoming the end of the road for those addicted to opioids and heroin.
About 80% of the active users of fentanyl that we interviewed report that their introduction to opioids was with pills, and that usually a couple years after pill use is when they started transitioning to heroin on average, and then a couple years after transitioning to heroin, on average, people start trying fentanyls.
A surge in deaths caused by opioid overdoses has put drugs like fentanyl and OxyContin in the spotlight. And while Trump is taking aim at China, saying it's behind the epidemic, many states have started to tackle the issue at what they say is the root cause: America's pharmaceutical industry. In August, an Oklahoma judge found pharma giant Johnson & Johnson liable for fueling the state's opioid crisis, ordering them to pay $500 million in damages.
Today, Judge Bachman has affirmed our position that Johnson & Johnson, motivated by greed and avarice, is responsible for the opioid epidemic in our state.
Another company taking heat, and one most often put at the center of the crisis, Purdue Pharma, is seeking to settle more than 2,000 lawsuits over its role in the opioid epidemic. Sources familiar with the case say they're looking at a price tag of as much as $12 billion. And earlier this year, one of America's largest distributors of opioids, McKesson, settled with the state of West Virginia to the tune of $37 million for its role in the opioid epidemic. In 2017, the company also agreed to pay $150 million to federal authorities in a record-breaking settlement for failing to report suspicious prescription drug orders. In 2011, this same company was chosen by the Food and Drug Administration to create a training program for doctors prescribing a specially administered form of fentanyl. Just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the pipelines and revolving doors involved in the industry. Timothy Ulrich, CGTN.